Hello and welcome to the Winners of Sheffield podcast. On this episode we'll be interviewing the one and only Toby Foster. You might recognise him as Les Campbell from the hilarious cult classic series Phoenix Nights, but Toby is so much more than that. He's a beloved broadcaster on BBC Radio Sheffield, where he's been a trusted voice and source of entertainment for years. Having spent 2 decades waking up South Yorkshire every morning as a resident DJ, he recently moved to the afternoon show, which goes out on BBC Radio Sheffield but reaches the entire Yorkshire region. Beyond the mic, Toby is a driving force in the comedy scene. He's the founder of the iconic Last Laugh Comedy Club, which had been making audience laugh for over 2 decades. He's also the brains behind the Wentworth Festival, Wentfest, which started out at the prestigious Wentworth Woodhouse but has now relocated to Hooton Lodge in Kilnurst. Whether it's on stage, on screen or on air, Toby is a true entertainer through and through. Let's delve into his journey, his passions, and hopefully have plenty of laughs along the way. So we are at the Winners of Sheffield podcast today, and we are at Radio Sheffield in the city centre of Sheffield, and we're joined by the host, the main man, Toby Foster. How are you, Toby?
How are you?
Are you okay?
Been a while. Yeah, thanks you.
Yeah, well, promising. We were going to Leicester originally, weren't we? And then
I've got to be here to do some social media thing in this new media world, so we've invited you here, which means, because we're downstairs in the BBC, I can't give you a cup of tea because they lock our mugs away.
I thought we were doing the mugs with Radio Sheffield.
They just lock them up. There's a bloke called Bruce locks it all the way, so I can't even have a cup of tea.
That's it. We'll stroll out. So Trav's got a bottle of water. We'll start sipping on that. We're struggling. What we do at the start of every podcast, we start from the beginning.
Yep.
Just listen to people's stories, and then we'll chip in as when we can. But where did you grow up? Where did you start? Which school did you go to? Your family? That kind of thing, really.
Okay.
You start from the beginning and go through it.
Grew up in the Derby Valley.
All right.
Barnborough is the first place I remember living, and then my dad was a salesman. He was a salesman for Farley's Rusks, then John Smith's, then Mansfield Brewery. Moved around quite a bit. He started off, obviously, he was going to go down the pit, but didn't. Wanted to become an actor.
Right.
And he got accepted into RADA. He was in the Green Room Theatre at Mexborough with people like Brian Blessed and Keith Barron and all that kind of thing. And then came up against his dad not letting him be an actor because this was the 50s and blokes from Thursday didn't go to RADA for all sorts of reasons. Which are outdated and sound prehistoric now, to be fair. But I don't think they made my granddad a bad bloke. I think he was a product of his time, and he just didn't get it. But that stayed with my dad. So he ended up mending trains in Mexborough, then into sales, and he enjoyed himself. But it meant that when I went to him when I was about 19, I'd gone to Turnside Comp and then Wath Comp, and left with like 3 O levels or whatever. And I went into sales. So I started advertising on the South Yorkshire Times. Okay. It was my first job. And then when I got to about 18, I thought, I really wanted to be an actor, because I'd gone to the careers meeting in 1985 in Wath, like a mile from Corton Wood, and said I want to be an actor. And they'd kind of typed it all in the computer and said, now you're going to join the army, because the pits are shutting. So when I was about 18, I said to my dad, I've been selling for 2 years now. I've got all right time working in the South Yorkshire Times, selling adverts in the office, surrounded by women being mothered. It was brilliant. And he just went, yeah, well, go on and do it. I never could go and do it. So I did. I auditioned around everywhere, and I got accepted to the Oxford School of Drama, which now is one of the best drama schools in the country. Right. At the time, it wasn't. It was new. And there were only, in fact, 5 drama schools that you got a grant for. Still got grants there. So my dad said, well, go for the first term, and whilst you're there, we're going to afford 1 term. Whilst you're there, audition for these places where you get grants. So he paid for this first term at Oxford, and I auditioned everywhere, got accepted into Royal Scottish and Mount View. So I was going to go to Mount View.
Where was that, sorry?
That's in London, Crouch End. It's Judy Dench.
Right.
Was the patron at the time. Brilliant school. But then still I'd got this. So this was kind of Christmas. I was supposed to join straight away. No, sorry, I beg your pardon. I was supposed to start in September. And still I got this worry about being in the Northern Land, going to London, in drama school. It all felt a bit weird. So I went off and got another job to take me the 9 months to September. went to the Hull Daily Mail because my parents had got a caravan on a campsite in Hull. Right. So I got somewhere to live, and that was the nearest paper that gave me a job. I just got 9 months in there. I was on £9,000 a year. I got a Peugeot 205, and I just thought, why am I giving this up to go and be an actor? So I just carried on doing that. Right. And went into sales and followed me down eventually. By the time I was 22, I ended up at Mansfield Brewery, which at the time was the 6th largest brewery in the country. Yeah. And by the time I was 28, I was the national sales manager, and I was running the wholesale beer department. Right. So we were brewing cask beers, riding bitter, Old Bailey, stuff like that, and I was selling it to wholesalers all over the country. And what I do is I go and get our beer on their price list. Then I drive down, say, Sussex to Brighton for a week and go out in their patch, selling our beers through them to the free trade. So it was literally the best job in the world. I was 28, single, got a 3 Series Beamer, driving round, stopping in hotels, getting drunk on expenses every night, buying people booze, telling them to buy booze up in Leeds. It was just amazing. And I absolutely loved that job.
I would.
Yeah, no, it's fab. I've always enjoyed the trade. You know, I've missed a couple of bits. I had a couple of pubs when I was 20, 21. But I'd always been around the trade. I had the Mill of the Black Monks at Barnsley. I was the first manager in there. And the Altisidora at Hull. But this is where I ended up. And then my dad died when I was 28 and he was 52. Boxing Day. And one of the things about being out when I've been stopping in places, in hotels or where was at night, if you weren't out in trade selling, I've got nothing to do. Yeah. And you didn't just want to go and sit in a booze all night because it was, you're done for 4 o'clock. If I could sit in a pub between 4 and 11, it's 15, So I used to go to comedy clubs because it's somewhere that you could go by yourself and sit in a corner with a pint or two and not look like a weirdo. Mm. And I was at the Glee Club in Birmingham, and there's an actor called John Fothergill, who's still big on the circuit. And he's and he says, I don't know what you're thinking, you're looking at him going, look at you stood there on 150 quid for 20 minutes work. And I thought, shit, how much? I'm not going to go with this. So that's when I started writing some stuff, because I thought, this looks easy, this, 3 nights a week, 4,500 nick, I like that. So when my dad died, I thought, sod it, I don't want to end up going down that path. Because when somebody dies, you have all these feelings that you're going to change your life and you're going to visit your family more and all that nonsense. So, and that's what, so I did. I walked in and just jacked the job in. So I'm going to be a comedian. And it's not all the thing, everybody laughed.
How did that go down? You said,
well, I mean, everybody at work thought I was mad, because I was doing all right. There was a career there that was going to go the right way. There were people who I work with who are doing very well in the brewing and indeed other industries at the moment. More better than I am. So they thought I was mad, but I was at home, it didn't really matter. My mum, I was single. Yeah. So I only got me to worry about. I got a 10 grand overdraft anyway, so I wasn't bothered. I owed that much that there's no point coming for me. Yeah. So I just thought, sod it. And that was, my dad died 90.
So you didn't work up to it, you weren't juggling the job, telling jokes?
I weren't juggling the job so much. I was doing some open spots, probably 1 or 2 a month. But because I worked all over the country, that was easy. So what I'd do is, if there was an open spot in Glasgow, I'd book a week's work in Glasgow. So I was the only open spot in a 4-star hotel, because I was just driving up to them working, because you work for nothing in stand-up. That's how the star is. Yeah. You drive around big, changed a bit now. It used to be you drive around big pubs where there's professionals on, and you'd be the one tryout on that. What they do now is there's these millions of open spot nights, which is, for me that's a lot more difficult. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man's king. Yeah. So you can get to the top of that circuit quite quickly and think you're doing really well. Mm. And then when you find yourself in a club like ours, boom, it hits you like a train. But it wasn't like that when I started. You were on pro clubs. So I was doing 1 a month, 2 a month, and that's why I packed in really. Because I was living in Oxford, I couldn't live anywhere in the country. I was living in Oxford with a mate of mine, specifically really so I could get to London.
Was it expensive living down there at the time?
It was more expensive than here, specifically Oxford. Yeah, you could live in the south.
So when was this, 90s?
97, 98, yeah. We lived on Prince of Wales Terrace. It was an old converted pub he worked for Allied Domec and I worked for Mansfield Broad. So he's still my best man now, sorry. So we were paying a lot for the rent, but we both worked in brewing.
Right.
And we were both young lads. So 80% of your costs were expensed. Because you just, every time you're out in trade.
Yeah, definitely.
So you just, I got 20 customers in Oxford. So if we went out for night in Oxford, we went to their pubs and we just claimed the beer back as customer relations. So a lot of the expenses that you normally got when you're 28-year-old and a single, we're coming back in on a Monday morning. And as long as they kept buying beer, which they did, then it didn't really matter. So, but then I thought, right, when he died, I was back up at home, so I just thought, this isn't going to work. So I packed in, and the same mate, Rupert, and my brother Matt, between us, we thought, we need to do something. And my mum was very affected by my dad dying. She was 50 years old, just retired. They were about to kind of go around the world and what have you, just zonked with a heart failure on Boxing Day. So she was really struggling. So we kind of all moved, even my mate moved into my mum's house, and we bought a pub in Barnsley, the old courthouse, which at the time was a massive football violence pub. It was full of idiots, so much so, Sergeant Smith, the police, they opposed the licence when we went for it. Okay. So I went and sat down and said, look, we're not into any of that. Yeah. We told him why we all moved on. We're taking this pub, and we knew it had to be iffy because it was cheap. That's how we got it. 100% mortgage we got it on, but that's brewing industry contacts. So we bought it, opened it, it was fine. We ran it for a year, flogged it to Wetherspoons because by the end of a year, it was apparent that I was going to start to do all right at stand-up because we started putting comedy on in there. And I bumped into a lad who was just starting out in Manchester called Peter. And we were working together at a similar level, and he just said to me, and he came to one night to play the club, to play the courthouse, and then we went up and did the fealty in Firkin up the road, and this after we'd had the club about a year, and he says to me, look, I think I might got something here on telly. It's something called Comedy Lab, Peter Kay thing. Do you want to be in it? And I just thought it was kidding, so I said, yeah, I'll be in it. And next thing I know, we're going to do a little bit of filming. So we sold the pub because my brother had gone to work with Robert Walters. He sold the pub to Wetherspoons, and as part of the deal, Rube got a job with Wetherspoons, and he ended up the regional manager for them. Somebody now runs half of Cafe Nero's, I think, or something with Cafe Nero. And I went up to become a stand-up. Right.
You know what? Back in the day, then, when you started off, I mean, so late 80s, early 90s, what was the comedy club scene like then? Because is it completely different to what it is now, or is it more old school back then, wasn't it?
No, very much not. I think it's a little bit more traditional now in terms of content on the stage. We were at the kind of the alternative, which had been the Alexis Sales and Rick Mayles and all that coming through when the Comedy Store started. Yeah. And the Comedy Store started by Don Ward in the strip club in the West End. But he's still there today in Oxford Street and doing very well. But so it started being very alternative, and the Fluffy Shirt Brigade were all like, oh, you can't tell these jokes anymore, it's just ridiculous. So we were just kind of at the start of the end, really, of alternative. So we were as comedy, I mean, there was still, isms were gone. There was no racism, sexism, my mother-in-law's this. Yeah. That was nothing to do with us. But we also weren't the kind of left field, walking on stage eating each other with a fish kind of thing that had happened in the early 80s. Yeah. And clubs were starting to grow. So I had a real purple patch, in truth, because at the time jongleurs just grew exponentially. There were 17 jongleurs clubs, So and I ended up comparing Comedy Store, Jongleurs, Glee, the big clubs. Right. So I could just earn a good living, like a lot of stand-ups in the early 2000s. We were earning not telly money, but good livings, without having to be on telly. You were working Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. On Friday and Saturdays, you could do 5 gigs a night in London. Right. So if you were doing early late Jongleurs Camden, early late Store, chucking up the creek in the middle, you pick up £1,000 a night in in the early 2000s.
Because they were doing like afternoons and stuff, and it was unheard of here, wasn't it?
Well,
afternoon shows, you're like, what?
Well, afternoons came a bit later, but certainly a 7 and a midnight. I mean, midnight shows at the store were legendary, really, in the West End. So, and I just hit that run of about 4 or 5 years when that was all there. Then eventually Jonglers went. They stopped paying people. Just about the time that I stopped needing them, which was handy. And I had a really good time for about 5 years. So we made Phoenix Night. So we made that Peter Kay thing, and with Pete obviously. And
I didn't know you were in that Peter
No, I didn't know. Obviously, we know you were in Phoenix Nights, but and I've seen bits of that Peter Kay thing, but not as religiously.
Well, the first one was called In the Club,
right?
And the first one was set in a club, and it was the Phoenix Club. So that's where Potter came in. And I was in that on the drums with a lad from Barnsley, Mark Jackson, playing Alan.
Right.
Is that the guy with cropped hair? Because I saw it.
He's in Phoenix Nights.
Yeah.
Mark was the different actor in the first one.
Right. Okay.
That's Steve Edge, who made it in Phoenix Nights.
Yeah.
And Edgy now, he's doing really well. He's in the Madame Blanc Mistress at the minute, but he did.
He's in Peep Show, isn't he?
Peep Show.
He does Jason Manford's show, doesn't he?
He's on with Jason, yeah. He did 5 years in Benidorm.
Yeah.
I was with him 2 Saturdays ago. We went to have the night out together in London.
What's that like? Do you end up getting mobbed for selfies and?
In London, he did. It's really, in London he did that. I know they got a clue who I was, but he really does. In fact, I didn't know that he would, because I never see telly, because I'm either here or out in a club.
Yeah.
So I forget. I've got something, so I forget how. I didn't even know Steve was that famous, to be fair. And it was all night in London, yeah. In London, when they used to see people come up to in pubs and I was taking photographs of him and stuff. So
we interviewed Chad Weston, for the Children's Hospital, and he was sort of saying, it sounds like he's got quite a few celeb friends, didn't he? But he said John Richardson was the one.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were
everywhere.
They were having to hide away and what have you, because they were just getting mobbed left, right, and centre.
Well, I didn't know that. I mean, it weren't like that for Reggie, but it was 5 or 6 times in a night, which was quite a bit. And I don't know how people like that cope really, but I mean, it's hard. I supported Johnny Vegas on tour one slot, and walking around Manchester specifically with Johnny at the time, early 2000s, was hard. Just because Johnny's such a nice bloke. Yeah. So he don't stop, he don't turn anybody down. In fact, he was ending up in the pub with him, which was the problem with Johnny, which was getting him away from the bar when he found something to talk.
He was in the Crown a few years ago.
They were Travellers by Dog Track, weren't they, doing something?
I know, like I saw all the social media stuff, because like you say, you don't turn people away.
No, he's lovely, I mean, he's just lovely. He's a lovely, lovely man. But getting out Manchester with him was impossible. I didn't know I was going to get it with Edgy, but they were all over him.
When you started with Peter Kay then, on the Peter Kay thing, could you, I mean, they talk about footballers and sportsmen saying you see people and you think, you've got it, you're going to go far. Did you see it in people like that when you were on that?
Oh, massively, yeah. There's people, when comedians get big, people find it really easy to have an opinion about them, which is fine. And the basic opinion of what they see now. So everybody will tell you how shit Jimmy Carr is, or Alan Carr, or Michael McIntyre and stuff. You know, when they played the Lescar, they smashed it to bits. I mean, absolutely smashed it to bits. Because that's the other thing. Throughout all of this, my first and actual and main love is club comedy. Yeah. So I started booking the Lescar way back when. I've been Lescar 30 years now. 25 years now.
Is that how long it is?
So I've been open 30. I think I've been booking at 25. Started by Oliver Double and Roger Monkhouse. And I had to take it over booking it because when he shut it down, it was the only game I got in my diary. I got 8 weeks compared in my diary, and they were going to close it. So I took it on, and I got nothing else to do. So I just spent all my time up and down Ecky Road flying, and it came back, and it became massive. And when when I was on Phoenix Nights, I was still comparing that every Thursday.
Right.
So we were rammed. I mean, we fit 75 people in there now, because my daughter runs it now. When I had it, we got 113. I mean, they were hanging from the roof, and you could smoke in there at the time. It was just awful. But literally everybody played it.
Yeah.
And when you see these people now who are playing arenas, and everybody tells you, oh, they don't make me laugh and all that kind, these people were hilarious. Yeah. I mean, they were brilliant. So Peter would smash the room about, he'd turn you upside down. Yeah. Same with Jimmy, Alan, any of them.
What separates them then from like comedians who just do like these local circuit, and the comedians who go far, like the TVs, the shows, the stand?
In a lot of degrees, look.
Right.
Really, because although they were brilliant, I've got just as brilliant on tonight.
Yeah.
You know, Steve Royal on tonight at the City Hall, the juggler from Phoenix Nights, Pam Ford's coming up from Beyond Mateo. These are all brilliant acts. Yeah. So there's a little bit of luck. I mean, Peter's fixated. Well, actually, thinking about it, they are fairly fixated. A lot of them. Peter had his eyes on the prize. Jimmy Carr was laser guided. I mean, he was marketing exec for Shell when he was doing his open spots. So he knew what he was doing. Yeah. He was open spotting his Z4 and he had his little personal organiser.
Just sorry, going back to yourself then, you just decided you wanted to be a stand-up. Had you always been a storyteller, a funny person?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, I mean, I was a brewery salesman. So when you sell for a brewery, it's not, you're not selling, it's not motors or houses or something. It's something that you've got to sell to the same person or the same group of people every week for the rest of your life. Otherwise they'll just move to John Smith's or they'll move to Sam Smith's, who've not had a price rise and stuff like that. So everything's about relationships. And 50% of your trade, at least, if you're working for Mansfield, is in working men's clubs, miners' welfares. So your relationship isn't with one person, it's with 12 people, none of whom are professionals at the job, they're in committees. Yeah. So they've got a job during the day and at night they look after the club. So some of them are good, some of them think they're good and some of them are arseholes. And you've got to deal with every one of these, there's always 12 of them. So the whole job was about relationships. So there's very little, there's very little actual selling in it. It's not kind of, I've sat in interviews trying to get jobs where people say, sell me that pen. Do you want the pen? No, you don't want the pen. I can't sell you the pen. Ridiculous. Actual selling, the thing about selling is finding out what you need and finding out how I can give it you. It's not about conning you, otherwise I'll never sell it you again. If I sell that pen, it don't work, I'm not coming back next week and sell you another one. So I'd always talk to people, I'd always got on with people, I'd always earned my living by hoping that 80% of people don't dislike you. And it's pretty much that in the club, really. But if I'm honest, I mean, I loved comedy, I loved watching it, it's only the same as everybody else. If I'm honest, it was John Fothergill telling me it was 150 quid for 20 minutes. Just a minute, he goes, hang on a minute, it's 5
I say
nights a
to
week.
people on podcasts, what's the switch where you go, that's where I want to go, and I guess that's your switch, isn't it?
The first time was exactly comedy related, because I saw something. My brother, when I was about 22, was on a quiz show called Wipeout with Paul Daniels.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, we went down and watched it filmed. And there was a lad called Felix, who was the jockey on Heidi High. And he was the TV warm-up man for this game show. And I looked at him thinking, is that a job? Because that looks brilliant. Yeah. He just walked around having a laugh with people, getting one facing the right way, and then stopped talking when the cameras rolled. And I ended up doing years of that. I did National Lottery, Question of Sport, Question of Pop.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, I did loads and loads of that when they filmed Oxford Road. And loved it. Yeah. Loved it. I did all the stuff with Carol Smiley, Eamon Holmes. Jamie Theakston, there was a period where they were trying to find Jamie Theakston a job. And I did all the warm-ups and all the pilots we did for Jamie. I did loads. Right. Did the lottery on a Wednesday for probably 2 years. So, and that's the thing about the job really, that's the thing about, I think about stand-up, is that you just got to have lots of different things that you do. You do, yeah. Because anything, there's that many out to, like that all stopped when they stopped producing at Oxford Road. Right. So then they phoned me up and said, do you want to go to London? No, not really. So you've always got to make sure that, because everything can stop. Yeah. I've been at Radio Sheffield 23 years, but I'm only on an annual contract.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I knew it would be 2 decades, because when I was doing the research, but so I've been on the afternoon show now.
Well, I see. So I got here in 2002, because we'd done another series of Phoenix Nights. So series 2 came out and they asked me to come in here to do an interview about it with Tony Cassidy.
Yeah.
So I came in, did the interview with Capo, and as I walked out, they said, he's off next week, do you fancy sitting in? Yeah, all right. And then it was off getting some doctors, some tests done, because obviously Capo, towards the end, was quite ill. He was struggling that. And then the week after he had to come back for his test, so I sat in for him then. And then the week after that, they offered me his job in the afternoons and moved into mornings. So, first time I come into the radio studio, I was 32, 31 or whatever. And within 2 weeks, I got a job here 5 days a week, which was amazing. Because I was a contract with the sign saying you got a year's money coming. Yeah. And I hadn't had that for 7 or 8 years. All I got was what was in my diary, and that was it. So I took this thinking, I'll get a year out of it. And then that was, like I said, that was 2002, and I never got into it. About 3 years later, we moved to breakfast. And then I did breakfast until 18 months ago.
How did you find because you hear the modern day DJ now saying, I can't do it no more, I've got to leave because of getting up for breakfast was doing me. How did you find all that?
I'd had 15 years of actual jobs.
Yeah.
People moaning about getting up at 5:30 and you're done at 11.
Yeah.
Kiss my ass, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
We can't moan. You hear them moaning. And I don't like the fact now that we do 4-hour-long shows, if I'm honest, as everybody here knows. Not for the reasons, I think there's reasons why we should and shouldn't do 4-hour shows. And it's not because I don't want to work 4 hours, I don't mind that at all. I'm here every morning for 10:30. Yeah. But I think radio presenters moaning about what they do is ridiculous, quite frankly.
Obviously you got roped into, and I make it sound like a bad thing, but you probably thought you'd made it at this point when you got Phoenix Nights. But was that a big money spinner at the time?
No, far from it. In fact, we I remember walking down Deansgate with Justin Morehouse. We didn't know what we were doing. I mean, we literally didn't know what we were doing. We're 29, 30 years old, all of us really, apart from Dave. We'd all been doing stand-up 2 or 3 years. We didn't have a clue what was going on. We were all skint, and we just thought we were on telly. I mean, literally, we didn't know what we were saying. And I remember walking down Deansgate towards the store with Justin, and there was a Harley Davidson garage at the bottom of Deansgate, and they got a Harley Fat Boy in the window. And I says to him, first thing I'm doing out of Phoenix Nights is buying one of them. Yeah. And they're 15 grand. And the entire check was 6,800 for 9 weeks' work. So he wouldn't even bought half a bike. So, no, it was, I mean, you think you're on telly, you think you're going to earn a lot of money. I mean, it was less than £1,000 a week.
But did that kick on the career, the stand-up?
Without a shadow of a doubt, it made the stand-up move. And there's things that I turned down as well, because I'd come to Sheffield. So I didn't take the move to London that a couple of people offered me at the time. They may have taken things in a different way. But that's fine, I was happy with that. So we did end up making some money. I mean, £1,000 a week, Jesus Christ, it weren't bad. But, that was it done. You can't live off £7,000 for a year. No. But thankfully, nobody watched Series 1, or very few people.
It was definitely the second series that landed.
So when the second series came out, everyone went and bought the DVD for Series 1. And we got £28 a piece.
Nice.
Which, I couldn't believe it.
What, just from the first series?
From the first series DVD.
Right.
Yeah. Because, literally everybody bought it. Yeah. The whole country bought it.
Yeah, they did.
I think I can recite most of the outtakes of the...
Yes, I was saying that. But I was on holiday in France. And all of a sudden, my phone started beeping, and it's all the lads going, "Can we see you back? Can we see you back?" Because we didn't have a clue. And I thought it was some kind of, because the only one was away, I thought they were having a laugh. Because there was no apples, there was no proper phones then. It was just, in fact, I bought a BlackBerry, one of the little blue ones, to go away with, because I was expecting an email about a thing with Johnny Vegas, which never happened. So they started beeping, and I eventually phoned Archie Kelly, who was the worst person to phone, because he's a lying little shit. And I says, listen, I'm halfway up an hill here, 40 minutes from Nice. Are you lying? He's like, no, seriously, go check your bank.
He's Kenny Dalglish Senior, isn't he?
Yeah. And I said, you better not be lying, because he's mild. He said, I'm not going to enter it, and £28,000 dropped it.
that been signed in the contracts then, or was it just...
Yeah, but we didn't know what
Yeah.
So, again, for me, because I was probably a bit of a late developer even at that point, because I remember we got it on DVD, because it was a double disc thing, wasn't it? And then it sort of come to an abrupt end, and you hear stories about them two falling out and all the rest of it. Was there much in that, or was it always, do you think, going to be...
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff about Pete and Dave and Neil. They wrote it between them.
Yeah.
There's some stuff about what Pete didn't tell Dave and Neil about a British Comedy Award. I don't really know.
Yeah, and we don't want to get you embroiled in it.
No, I mean, look, they're all mates. They're all mates of mine, and I think, I don't know if they're mates with each other or not. I mean, it's one of those things, you don't really see them. I speak to Peter only by email, but probably monthly, but only by email now.
It's on kind of 15-year world tour, isn't it?
Yeah, you never get to see him. I saw him when he did Sheffield last, but we email. I've not seen Dave for a long time, to be fair, but there's nothing in that. He said, he lives...
I saw him in, have you seen that, something with Alma's Weird?
Oh yeah.
He's hilarious.
Brilliant.
He's doing like a stand-up school, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's
absolutely
she's
hilarious.
amazing. Yeah. Sophie Willen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a true story, isn't it? Based on her life, isn't it? I think that show.
To be fair, we just sort of like started watching an episode, and before we knew it, we'd watched like the whole.
Yeah, I just got shouted in when Dave came in because my wife loves it. So there was something that went off. They had a bit of a fallout. They're different people, and Peter's an interesting character. Peter's, like I say, he's very driven, and takes the hard. When we did Phoenix Nights, he decided that he was going to direct series 2.
Yeah, I watched your interview with the chap we mentioned earlier, and you were talking about, because he didn't direct the first series.
No, Johnny Campbell did the first one. And directing's really hard. People go to college for it.
Yeah.
And Pete's just decided he's going to do it. So he takes the hard path because like a lot of them, there is a little difference. They're perfectionists.
That's the best part, I think, of the outtakes, because 9 times out of 10, it's him either collaring somebody or laughing because they don't get the line exactly how he's envisaged the line.
And blaming other people. He does that every time. He'll cock up, he'll start laughing, he'll go, Toby, and you're like, no, fuck off. That was you. And he does that all the time. So there was a thing about him and Dave, and he did, and I've never asked him actually, to be fair, he's gone. He did delist the DVD, I mean, it just stopped. And it's not on the street.
Weird that, wasn't it?
It is. I don't know the thinking behind it, if I'm honest. If it was there, I think we'd all earn a bit of dough from it, and we'd rather do that than not. But I think that's not the decision.
Were you part of this reunion show they did in
Man? Yeah, and that was the best thing that he could have done. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So he phoned us up. I was at home. Phoned up and he says, I want to do a big show at the end. I'm alright, this sounds great.
Yeah.
He says, yeah. So we'll do great, we'll do a live show, we'll get together, we'll work it out. Live show, we'll announce that we're going to do two, but we'll book 10. Are you up for it? I'm like, yeah, I am, yeah. And then it's all for charity. I went, you what? He says, it's all for charity. But hey, whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But anyway, it was all for charity. And that was brilliant, in truth, because everybody did it. Like, everybody was involved, apart from Daniel Kitson, who was Spencer in Phoenix Nights, who I just don't think him and Pete got on. Right. But everybody came and did it. We got together for 3 or 4 days. There's an arena rehearsal facility in Wakefield, South Hempsall, which is an amazing place.
Yeah, something Park, isn't it?
Can't remember what it's called. We were in the week after Robbie Williams. It's just crazy. They all go there, Kylie, everything. So we got in there, and in 4 days we wrote and rehearsed the show that went into the arena. We did 17 nights in the end. 17 shows, yeah. But it's £5.5 million. And the thing about it was just brilliant because we'd all been late 40s by then, so we'd not all been in the same room for 15 years. So when we were 30 and filming Phoenix Nights, and any kind of fallouts that there'd been, the kind of natural fallouts you get when you're 30 and running around. I mean, so when they went, wrapped for the day on Phoenix nights. 4 cars started and lads just shot off to go and do stand-up gigs. You know, we were still really working, we needed to work. So there was no, we didn't see each other really. Me and Ed used to go out a bit because we were lucky we were working together all the time, but you know, we saw each other, we were just running around. So now we're all a bit older, we've got kids, the mortgage is a bit more paid off, so we're just a bit more chilled. And we just had such a laugh. I mean, a real proper laugh. And there was, although we didn't get paid for anything, and I think all of us, we didn't even take the expenses. So, but it was a good production. So we all got to have tea together first and all that kind of stuff. So it was great. It was just.
Ted Robbins came ill during that.
Well, he died. He died on the stage.
Was it on that stage?
Yeah. I mean, they brought him back, but that was awful. That was night one, first night. And I've been working with Ted. And all day I said, there's something wrong with Ted. There's something wrong with Ted. And I said to Patrick, I said, I don't think he should go on, you know. He's not right. Patrick goes, go on and you tell him. And you go, oh, that's a point. So we got to the start of the second half, and there's me and Edgy. The second half starts with Den Perry coming up through the floor. Ted does this thing, and then me and Edgy go on. And it's the first night. And so Ted comes up through the floor, and me and Edgy stood backstage just getting ready to go on. He started listening to him, what's he doing here? And he's repeating jokes, and he's saying stuff that he's not said. And then we just looked at each one, funny of the day. And he'd had a massive cardiac arrest. Thankfully, a bloke in the front row, paramedic, knows what he's doing. He hit the stage and kept Ted on that stage for about 2.5 hours. When the ambulance turned up, the bloke said, no, you stop away, I'm sorting it. But he broke his sternum and 12 ribs bringing him round. And it was awful. It was awful. I mean, all Ted's family were there. His sister and the kids. So I just remember being stood on stage with one of them, I can't remember, hugging her but trying to get her away from Ted because there were people around him. And the curtains had gone in. And of course everybody thought it was a joke. There was 15,000 people in. And they all just thought it was a joke. So it was like, well, somebody's going to have to tell him. And of course I'm playing the drummer, so I'm just in a DJ. Justin's got a tiger face on him. Dave's not been on, so if he walks out, he cheers. Edgy's not a stand-up really, he's brilliant, but talking to 15,000 people. So I just got to give him his mic and said, go around and get rid of them. So I had to go around the front of the stage and chuck 15,000 people out. Which was really tough. And we got...
for them, that's what they waited for forever, isn't it?
Yeah, they were lovely, to be fair. I said, look, obviously we've waited for so long to bring you this, but Phoenix comes a man down and you're going to have to go home. And they just stood up, turned around and walked out. It was only when we got... They put us up at the Lowry. I stayed for 2 nights at the Lowry. They put us up at the Lowry. But they said, do you want to take expenses? I said, no, I'm not taking expenses. If I've got somewhere to keep, if I'm not stopping over, if you give me a lift home, I don't want anything. So it's brilliant stopping at the Lowry, 5-star hotel in Manchester. As we checked in, me and my missus for the first night, Hank and Deck were checking out. I was like, oh, it's impossible. Anyway, after 2 nights I checked out because I wasn't taking expenses. It was 17 quid for a glass of wine. I just saw that. They put me in the Premier Inn. So they did. So I got a Toby car next time, it was 4 quid. But so the first night, my mate, Rupes, come to see us. Because all his clothes off, so him and Nicky, and my wife, walked back to the hotel. And Jason Manford, John Bishop were there watching. So they'd come back seeing what's going on. And all the cars that were on the production had taken old Ted's family off. So Bish and Jason had got their motors there. So they just ferried us all back to the hotel. So I get back to the hotel at like 1 a.m. I went upstairs and everybody the bar was just full of people who'd come to the gig. And they all printed their own t-shirts and they've got tiger faces on and all. And I think Ted's dead. I mean, I last I knew, he was gone. So I've known Ted a long time. You know, I only used to get stand-up work when Ted were busy. Warm-up work when Ted were busy. So when they used to ring me when they couldn't get Ted, I'd known Ted 10 years. And he's the loveliest. So I'm really upset. So I walks in and I see my wife and my best mate. So of course we'd start having, everybody's just floating, we all pretend. I mean, best mate don't know him well, but grew up with him on telly. And this woman walks up to me with her boyfriend, literally shoves into the middle of us and says, I paid 600 quid for these tickets on the go. I don't get any money back.
This is what I'm thinking, people just don't get it, do they?
It's just mental.
I try to get my money back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not, so I just, you know, I'm from Barnsley.
Yeah.
So I just, her boyfriend was stood there, he was snarling, he was that annoyed. And Root, thankfully, it's like before anything could get me in papers, Root shut me through the fire door at Lowry, and next thing I know, I got my mate bawling me out this door. I was furious. I was really upset. And that lasted a second. I mean, it was a flash of red. I'm not an idiot. So we still have to go. So me and Nicky went, I can't remember where when he was stopping somewhere. Me and Nicky went into our room and we just didn't go to sleep. We just sat up all night. And then we started walking around Manchester about 6 the next morning. And then Katie Galbraith from here phoned me and said he's fine. He's saying he's going to be all right. So I did an interview on here and it was amazing. And he was all right, and he is all right, and he's lost 6 stone, and he's still going strong, and he's working hard, and he's...
Did he carry on that talk them nights?
No, he was still in hospital, he's 2 weeks later. Right, okay. It was bad. Yeah. I mean, he had died on the stage. This bloke had worked magic on him. Right. So that whole experience, with the exception of Ted, obviously, the whole experience was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, going back to all the comedians you mentioned that were involved in that show, and yourself included, we saw November time, the end of November, Paddy McGuinness on the City Hall. Yeah. And he was saying how much he picked up from that show, comedian-wise, all that kind of stuff, how it influenced him to go onto the stand-up routine and develop as a better comedian. So.
And he had some developing to do, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was better than I expected.
Yeah,
I'd never seen him do stand-up.
I saw his first tour there, and it came like years ago.
It was terrible, weren't it?
Well, it weren't brilliant, were it? And he knew it weren't brilliant, to be fair. I mean, he only did 40 minutes. He sang the theme tune from Minder twice.
I know. I've seen it. Yeah.
I was backstage and he kept, I went, that was interesting. Yeah. And he goes, look, I'm only going around once. He says, I'll just do what I can do. Because he didn't know where the career was going at all. He's worked a lot harder at this one. He don't know this yet. I was in Sheffield as well. I didn't go and see him yet because I'll wait till he comes back next time. Yeah. And I thought he was brilliant. Yeah, I thought he was really good. Yeah. But that's Paddy. He's a good lad. Like when we did the live show, he was only on in the last 10 minutes, last 15 minutes of the show. Yeah. But every night it was me, Edgy, and Neil that went on first. So we walked on stage at 8. He went on till 10:30. But apart from the 2 nights when Bolton played, he was sort of side of the stage at 8 o'clock every single night, just clapping you on.
Was it, right?
Go on, lads, on you. Just real. He's a real team player, is Paddy. Yeah. A real team player.
He's gone from strength to strength, really, media-wise, hasn't he?
Yeah, and you only do that one way these days. Yeah. You know, people are getting out of the idea of falling into talent. You only do that if you're a decent person, really. And Paddy works hard, he's a proper grafter. Yeah,
we're talking about people who inspire people and that kind of stuff. From your background then, we're talking about people who we work with and that. Who inspired you comedian-wise? Like which comedians inspired you to take
it's odd, isn't it? And you asked that question, of course, the people I liked at the time, I'm nothing like. I mean, Eddie Izzard was big for me at the time. Right, okay, yeah. You know, that period, he was the one that was... I beg your pardon, whatever pronoun she's using now, but at the time it was Eddie, and was just brilliant. And
it was very clever, wasn't
it? But clever marketing as well. He was the comedian. They never put me on telly, he'd say, and every time he said that, he was on telly, and it was like, hang on a minute. But he was very good. But I was looking at then. I got into the live scene because for my 25th birthday, my brother took me to the Comedy Store in Manchester, and. There really is the gulf between live stand-up club comedy and literally everything else is a gulf. And if you're at all interested in comedy, you need to be in a comedy club, and you'll see just it's a different world. You know, it's a world that doesn't exist. Even in the theatres, it's just totally different. You can't see one person's show, that's the thing. But for a tenner or 15 quid, you can go in and see a comparing 4 acts doing half an hour of their best stuff, all of which is completely different. It was that got me into comedy, into wanting to perform, was actually seeing it done. So the first night I went, Lee Hurst was comparing, Ardlow Hammond was on, a lad called Simon Bly, who I don't even know if he does stand-up anymore. Simon is a sensei, he's a 7th Dan Aikido master or whatever he does, but was brilliant. Alan Davis was on and somebody else I can't remember. And that was my first night. I was enjoying the birthday with hell of a lineup. So it was that that kind of got me into it, really, the live scene.
So one of the things that we ask, or I've tended to ask our guests is, now you know about the podcast, what we're doing, who do you think we should potentially get in front of and interview?
Well, you've done, for me, one of the best in Dame Julie.
Yes,
which is just incredible that she's gone. I can't believe it.
We were both in shock. I mean, she's similar age to my mum.
Yeah.
My mum actually volunteers at Wentworth Woodhouse.
Right.
And she told me a sad story actually the other day, because the sad thing was she'd never actually spoke to Julie. And then a few weeks after we'd done the podcast, she bumped into her in the cafe and she was going to go and say hello to her, and she got a bit nervous and flustered and thought, no, I'll do it next time, and didn't. And sort of,
And that's a shame, because I mean, Julie,
she was such a breath of fresh air.
She was amazing.
She was a battle like so driven.
She just knew it. So we do this festival every year, Wentfest, which started off at Wentworth Woodhouse. And we did the first 5 years at Wentworth Woodhouse. We've now moved to Kilners. But Julie could have been forgiven for just turning up. I mean, she was the chair, but she didn't. She bought tickets every year.
All right.
And every year I said, Julie, I'll just give you some tickets. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. No, you lads are working out of this. She'd buy the tickets. And she was an inspiration, really. And really, to say how many things she touched, I don't think any people know a lot about her.
They don't know.
You know,
when we spoke to her, we couldn't believe it.
I was surprised again because you kind of have a sort of amble in your mind, and I was surprised at how hard her upbringing had been.
You
know, she had a rough
rough
life, and she didn't want to make too fine a point in it, so we didn't want to dig.
I think that covered her approach all her life. It's the way that she worked, and I think she was amazing. And I think there's all sorts of. I mean, Sheffield, for me, Sheffield's there's an embarrassment to riches, really. But the difficulty with it is that not very few people in Sheffield talk about themselves. And we find that a great deal. And I can't work out whether that's a strength or a weakness, to be fair, because, you know, as well as working here at Radio Sheffield, we obviously got the City Hall. We had a club in the City Hall for 20 years. And for us, the more successful the city is, the more successful we are as a comedy club. And sometimes I worry about Sheffield that we just kind of, we revel in keeping our lights under our bushel a little bit. Whereas you go to Leeds and Manchester, you look at them, they're just so brash and out there, and they tell you how fantastic they are all the time. But actually sometimes some of that wipes off. And I look at how many comedy clubs there are, big comedy clubs like us in Manchester. There's us in Sheffield, in terms of size, you know, 250 seats on Friday and Saturday night. Manchester, I can name you 5.
It's a bit like that with nightclubs. It's always been like that with nightclubs. As a nightclub in Sheffield opened, it was always at the opportunity cost of the one that you shut down. And it was sort of like, whereas, like I've always loved going to Leeds, and at 1 o'clock in the morning in Leeds, there is literally, you know, bars everywhere. Whereas in Sheffield, you feel a little bit, like I say, as soon as there's a new one, it's at the cost of the old one. I mean, I say that like I go out drinking, I don't anymore.
Times changed, haven't they? But you go to Liverpool now with the hot water. I mean, what those lads have done is revolutionise stand-up over 10 years. But, you know, they've just opened 3 new rooms one of them holds 700 people. You know, these are massive comedy clubs. And their food operation is as big as Cambridge Street Collective.
Would you fancy going to Seth Rogen's comedy club? Have you seen what he's doing?
I mean, I've done the States a couple of times. And it's really...
You're still doing stand-up, not just comparing, are you doing...
Well, I got poorly about a year ago.
Right.
Got really poorly. So I've done bits and pieces, I've done 2 this year. It's 18 months ago, I woke up in hospital after a festival, just knackered. And I've got COPD. And I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was 48. I went for that. Which really I didn't, I mean, I knew I'd got it. And I know I've got it on the life. And when I said to my wife, I'm going to go for the ADHD diagnosis, she went, everybody you know's got ADHD. Every dressing room is full of people with ADHD. Why are you bothering? Yeah. But at the time, I was really struggling with booze. And I wanted to know exactly what I'd got in my armour to stop it. So I wanted to know what was my fault, what was in my control, what wasn't.
Was that coming from working the clubs all the time, you think that?
Yeah. I mean, I was alcoholic, to be fair. I was on breakfast. By the time I finished on breakfast, I was drinking too much. Okay. And we all work for COVID and all that kind of nonsense. I just let it get away with me, which I can do. I mean, I love pubs. Yeah. I love boozing. I used to smoke, and it just became too much. Right. And now I don't smoke. And since I finally got COPD, I mean, I woke up in hospital and I've never had a cigarette since. And I've started having the old pint or 2 again. I'll never be a non-drinker. But I mean, I used to get drunk. I did 18 years on breakfast. So I was done for 10:30. I'd done all my other work by 2 o'clock. And then I lived next to the best early bar pub in all of South Yorkshire. By 4 o'clock, all the lads are coming back into the village and everybody's having a pint. And I've got nothing to do until 4 o'clock the next morning. So I used to go there, have a bottle of wine, come back, a bottle of wine while I'm feeding the kids. And next thing you know, you have 4 bottles of wine a day. And it just, but I was never drunk. You know, I would never have thought, I was never out of control and nasty to anybody. I wasn't losing anything, nothing was going wrong. But I was just getting more and more unhealthy. So I started taking these ADHD meds. They worked, but made me feel a bit weird. I've never done drugs, and it's like speed is what you take for ADHD. Essentially, it's meth. I started to feel a bit funny. Woke up. I've got this atrial fibrillation. My heart beats in a funny way now, which I think was down to the medicine I was taking. Okay. So I had to kind of stop everything. So I ran out of breath. So for a year, I put about 4 stone on, and for about a year I just couldn't breathe. So this time last year, in fact exactly this time last year, we were on holiday in Jamaica and I couldn't get 50 yards from our hotel to reception without stopping. So everything's getting better. So I've done a couple of stand-ups this year and it's coming back. But I found that on stage I'm losing my breath.
Oh, right. And
when I lose your breath, then your bottle goes. But like now, I mean, I was just told for an hour, and I couldn't have done that 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So we know everything's going the right way. So that's why I've not done a lot.
So you started out wanting to be an actor. Obviously, you've done a bit with Phoenix Nights and what have you. I see a bit of your, what's it called, EastEnders mock-up that you do.
Yeah.
Is that still something that you could see yourself pursuing, or did that?
There's the only 2 things I think I'd really love to do now. I would love to make a film, and there is talk of Phoenix Nights as a film, but it's just
talk.
I know nothing other than Peter says he's got something written, but Christ knows when he's going to stop touring anyway, so I don't know. I'd love to be in a film just because I've got a medal. And I'd love to do some theatre. I'd like to scratch that itch. And
so you've never done any live stage?
Did a panto.
Right.
I did Lyceum panto one year, which is knackering. I mean, proper.
Yeah, everyone says panto knackering.
Oh, Jesus. Well, I was doing the breakfast show here, and then going on some days, only 2, but on 2 of those days, you do 3 shows in a day.
Right.
So I finished here at 10 and we were on stage at 10:15 doing panto 2 days. But every day you do 2 shows.
Yeah.
And it's really, really tiring. So that's the only thing I've kind of done live in terms of acting. So I'd like to do something like that. I don't know if I will.
Ricky Gervais just has recently been posting and retweeting your scene in Afterlife.
Yeah.
Where you're dressed up.
Yeah.
That's the big baby. How was that?
Well, it's not quite what I planned.
Yeah.
I watched the first series of Afterlife, and it went off. I texted him. I said, that was really good. The only thing that would have made it better is if I was in it. And he texted me back straight away. He says, okay, I'll put in the next one. And then I got the script through, and I texted him back saying, I was thinking more of a romantic lead, not a girl of 8. So, yeah, I've done that. I did that with him. I was in extras for a bit, and in Derek for a bit.
People forget about that being extras. You were in that like Celeb Big Brother place, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. And then Derek, I got to swear as a big man in Twickenham at 11 o'clock in the morning, which was really embarrassing, shouting out massive swear words. So I've done a bit with him, which is great. He's lovely. So I've done bits and pieces of acting. Steve Edge wrote Starlings for Sky. I did a little bit in that.
So when's Festival?
June 14th.
June 14th. And if people are after tickets, where are they?
Wentfest.com. We're there. Tramlines, I think, will play the blinder this year. I really do.
Yeah, it looks really
we had to come. We all had to combat Oasis, and we've done that this year by going very boy band.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody this year has got to buy a new CP company jacket, and some new trainers. They've all got and go up there, and that's what all the blokes are doing. So we went very boy band, and they just went brilliant.
A mate of mine went to like some Oasis tribute acts that. Basically, they strategically timed their tour. As soon as the Oasis tickets sold out, their tickets went on sale the next day. So everybody who kind of missed out on that, and he said he went the other week and he said it was absolutely amazing. He said, it's a tribute act, so it's somebody. But he said he was more Liam Gallagher than Liam Gallagher.
I really struggled. I'm not going to go.
No. I'm going. My brother got me a ticket for Christmas. He kept it all hush, but he got me one, and I was like, Jay, that's gonna be brilliant and all that. And then I thought, I'm at Heaton Park, so I thought it's just gonna be full.
I remember when I saved your life last Heaton Park. We went to see it was a penultimate gig, wasn't it, at Heaton Park? And I'm not. I mean, look at me. I'm like 10 and a half stone wet through, and he'd fallen on the floor and a bit of a stampede. And I just grabbed hold of him and superhuman strength pulled him up off the ground just before they were like a stampede. And because nobody bothered, are they?
That's me thing. I was lucky. I think it was 97 they did Leeds, and I compared the comedy tent that year. So we sat on their monitors for their gig. Because I was comparing, so we got AAA. I got AAA for me and my wife. So we were literally at the side of the stage for the gig, which was just amazing. So I've seen it. The thing is, I can barely remember it because why would you be able to remember that? But I know I was there.
I think I've got a fit. They can go 2 ways. I think it'll either be everyone will go, wow, this sounded great. I don't think it will, but I think it'll just be them going through the motions.
They're not all going to happen, by the way. I'll say that. There's no way all of them gigs are going to happen.
Amazing to do. But I'd still. I was there for not. I mean, it's Oasis.
Well, Toby, I'm conscious that we're probably going to struggle to edit it all down to under an hour, but I'd like to thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for your time, Toby.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
On our next episode of the Winners of Sheffield podcast, we're speaking with a man who really knows how to rally a crowd, build a brand and make a real impact, Chris Millard. As managing director of England's Barmy Army, he's at the heart of one of the most passionate cricket supporter groups in the world, but that's only the start. Chris is also the Group MD of Empires Group, which also owns the Joe Root Academy and a key figure in cricket's global fan community. Chris is also a proud ambassador of the Sheffield Children's Hospital. And if all that wasn't enough, he's now helping Alex Fleming to bring Sheffield's first play paddle venue to life. Alongside a consortium of Sheffield's own England cricket legend Joe Root, former Sheffield Wednesday and current Rotherham United goalkeeper Cameron Dawson and entrepreneur Harry Bliss. From sports, business and fan engagement, to shaping the future of Sheffield's sporting scene, Chris seems to have done it all, so we can't wait to sit down with him and share his Barmy Army story.